is everyone? So why don't we close our eyes and we'll start our beginning meditation, and then we will start satsang. So sit comfortably. Try to sit up straight and be in a very alert position. And as you hear the sound of the bell, let it clear your mind and bring your attention to this present moment. And as the bell fades, just stay in this moment. We begin by taking 3 deep, relaxing breaths together. First deep breath in. And exhale. Second breath in. And exhale. Third deep breath in. And exhale. Continue breathing deeply but gently into your abdomen. And I encourage you to breathe more and more slowly until you're breathing as slowly as possible without it being at all uncomfortable. As you're breathing slowly, let the muscles in your body relax until they are completely relaxed. Let even the most subtle tension go. let the muscles in your face relax. And as you let go of each layer of tension, let even the most subtle layers of tension go too. Bring your attention completely to this moment. And be very present to where you are. Don't think about where you are. Just be where you are. Just breathe and be aware of all things outside you. Take a few moments and do this. Don't think about it. Just be aware. And be aware of all things inside you too. Notice any energies or emotions. Notice any thoughts, but don't let them carry you away. And in the same way that you observe outside you, observe inside you. And realize that you are the one that is aware. You are the one that is watching. You are the one that is observing. Welcome, welcome to Satsang. Welcome Anne-Marie, Jamie, Jason, Irma. Thank you for being here with us. We watched a really cool movie last week called The Power of the Heart, and I just really want to recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. It was really cool. Surprisingly cool, wasn't it? It's from the maker, the director of The Secret, which is not my favorite movie, but I really like this one. And I don't want to spoil it for you, so I don't want to tell you about it. But if you're looking for something interesting and spiritual, when we're not here at the Duncan Center, we'll usually have a movie night, and we'll find, a movie with a meaning. A movie, there's some really cool ones that we've watched. I really recommend that one. I think we all really enjoyed it. Was Weird Energy Week? Was it just me? Were you feeling it? Whew. I just could not get my mind to settle down. And I was okay with that. But it was surprising to me. My mind was doing jumping jacks and I couldn't settle it down. And, there are lots of things that were happening, like we have an empathetic nature, and I kind of feel when things are happening. I have someone whose father is very sick, and we send prayers and good energy to them. And some other things happen that I'm not going to discuss. And I was kind of feeling all the anxiety of that. And what's the first thing that Tom does when... Clean my house. And when I say clean my house, I went from top to bottom. And I did not break any speed records, and I intentionally was just taking my time, going through one room at a time, top to bottom, cleaning everything, organizing things, everything that needed to be done. And when I was done, it was spick and span. And I just can't believe every time I do it. My house is clean to begin with. It's not like... But when I put that energy into my house, I can feel the energy that I just put into my home radiating back to me. When I walk in my house, it feels literally different energetically. My hands had just been all over it, had just been all over everything. I feel so much lighter when I do this. And every time I do it, and I've been doing it for many, many years, I'm always shocked at how different I feel when I'm done. It was incredible. Anybody here experience that? You just not clean your house?
I have somebody else do it, but I still love coming home when it's clean.
See that now. There's wisdom and then there's genius, right?
Yeah, but when you just before
Mic,
you
please. It's on.
I mean, when you know that it's clean, even before you open the door, is when it starts for me. It's like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you open it and everything's,
Yeah. The energy in your place is different, isn't it?
Yeah.
This whole world is energy. There's something about it. Now, why can be very interesting and can be discussed, but many times we don't even know why. I mean, who cares why on one level? Just know that this is one way to really feel ridiculously better. For sure. And, what we're always in satsang talking about is what are the causes and conditions for my mind to be peaceful. This is one of the most profound causes, and it almost seems too simple for people. We don't need to look for complicated answers where simple answers will suffice. It was an incredible experience for me. It always is. So now I get to do the garage tomorrow, so I'm going to be like, wow. Also, what I find starts happening is that when I do that, I start eating better. My kitchen is clean, my house is clean, everything is clean and put away. So when it comes time to cook, it's like, And then immediately after I cook, I wash the things and I put them away because I don't want to mess my house up, The first night, I have to admit, you know what I did? I went down I cleaned the whole house, and I wanted to get out of it because I wanted to have that experience that you had. I wanted to walk in, and I had the lights set. It was evening, and I had the lights set a certain way, right? And I just left. I went to BurgerFi, and I had that veggie burger that you were talking about. It was awesome. Did you ever have the other one? They have some meat substitute burger. Oh, it's terrible? I'm glad I didn't try it. It's more expensive. So I went and I had a burger at BurgerFi, a veggie burger. It was very good. And then I came home and I opened the door and it was like, oh, and I just was warm. And my cat came running out and I'm like, my God, it was just an amazing feeling. The angels were singing and it was like a big warm hug. And I was just like, my God, it was the best feeling. And so, I'm not joking, when I'm talking about this Zen list stuff. I really think that we look too often for complicated answers where simple answers will suffice. And stay with those. At least do those first, When I start to cook, that's when I really start to feel better too. There was some conversation going on before satsang that we were talking about exercise and diet and things like that, and that's something that we haven't talked about in a while. And so I think tonight might be like a really apropos moment, for me to put my trainer hat on and start to talk about one of the most important parts of my practice. Because you will never hear this. Any other spiritual practice that I ever went to, I studied a lot of Vajrayana Buddhism and things like that, and nobody ever talks about, exercise or diet. In fact, a lot of times you go there and there's donuts and garbage and coffee and, and I'm like, how are you supposed to sit and meditate, with your veins full of sugar? Surprises me. I have a picture on my computer of the Dalai Lama on a treadmill, and maybe I'll share that around with you guys because.
Well, Buddha doesn't exactly look like a jogger.
Mike, what'd you say?
I said Buddha doesn't exactly look like a jogger.
Yeah, they didn't have treadmills back then. Say that, but
they didn't have cars either.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's something that people miss. And that even spiritual teachers miss. So much of what we experience, what we perceive, is chemistry. If you are depressed and you go to a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist says, here, take this antidepressant medication, does it change the circumstances of your life? What does it change? And when your body chemistry changes, what happens? your moods change, your perception is different. Just because your chemistry is different. How crazy is that? You got to get this. This is a beaker. And you're just pouring things in the beaker. And when your chemistry is off, your perceiving is off. You're emotional. For women who have far more complicated bodies than men, have bodies that can manifest another being, it's much easier for your chemistry to get thrown cyclically. And you've experienced this. I've had women say to me, I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm crazy. I don't get me. I'm like, thank God, because I don't understand either. No. But that's just an example of when we get off chemically. There are not really cognitive answers for chemical problems. Cognition, thought, can affect your chemistry, for sure. If you're getting angry and you're getting upset and you're feeling that, your chemistry is changing. But it's kind of, it works both ways. So one of the best things that you can do for yourself is understand that I am a beaker. I am one big, very complicated chemical interaction, and the interaction of chemical interactions and interactions of those interactions. What I mean by that, your body is producing things. You're putting things in. You don't put everything in that you need, but you can't put in what you need. Your body makes and then uses that with something else that it makes. I mean, the human body is unbelievably brilliant. Incredibly, incredibly important. This is the importance of exercise and diet and hydration, because that's how you manage your chemistry. If, you're drinking soda and eating donuts and not exercising, you are making life way harder on yourself than it needs to be. It's hard enough. And what I mean by making life harder on yourself is that you're making it harder for your mind to concentrate. You're making it harder for you to see things clearly as they are. You are emotional. You're all over the damn place. Any comments or questions on this? I kind of want to hear from you guys. Remember, I feed off of your comments, okay? When I have to drag the conversation along, it sucks for me, okay? But on the other hand, I get very excited when you guys are talking to me. And some of you are shy. Get over it, all right? Because this is important. We're talking about the most important things that human beings can talk about when we're in satsang. This is how you have a happy life, which is all you want. So let's talk about it. What have you experienced? Could you use the microphone, please?
I've been feeling depressed because I have no motivation. I know exactly what I need to do, to lose weight, and I buy everything that I need, all the healthy things. And then it's like I don't work out. I don't, I know what I need to do. I have a gym where I live. I don't even have to get in my car. And so I don't know what's wrong with me.
Nothing's wrong with you. You're human. This is the strangest thing. If someone were to ask me, what's the strangest, you've been studying the human mind and human beings for your whole life. What's the strangest thing about human beings? The strangest thing about human beings to me is how we struggle with doing what we know 150% is good for us. Like telling somebody that something is good for you, it doesn't it doesn't help. In fact, sometimes that makes it worse. Then you're a health nut. I'm like a health nut to people. What is a health nut? Someone that takes care of themselves? You know, I mean, like...
It's I don't need advice. I don't need to hear what to do. I know what to do.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's wrong with me. Like,
Yeah.
why I'm not motivated. You know, here we have a camping trip coming up. Two weeks left. A month ago,
Yeah.
I wanted to start getting back into shape. A
Yeah.
year ago, I wanted to start. But this was motivating me. Okay,
Yeah.
I have a month. I'm going to start getting some exercise, and I didn't do it.
Right.
And here we are 2 weeks away from the trip, and I still haven't done it.
Yep. Listen to this. This is what Jamie said here on Facebook. He said, Buddha's test for wisdom gets me every time with cleaning or working out. So I don't commit to doing the simple things, and then the ego has a playground to play in. That, first of all, Buddha's test for wisdom, okay, is at the bottom of all my emails that I know that you just wait by your computers for me to deliver to you so you can read them right away. And Buddha's test for wisdom is that you are wise to the extent that you can get yourself to do things that you might not like doing, but you know will lead to peacefulness and happiness. And refrain from doing things that you might like doing that you know will lead to suffering. If you can do that, then you are wise. Okay? And, you know, so I think what Jamie is saying is that that he can't do that. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get yourself to do the things that you might not like doing, but you know are good for you. The way that I dealt with that was I really started focusing more on the result. Cause and effect has become a very, very important part of my practice because there are certain effects that I want to feel. What are the causes for those effects? If I want to feel good, then I need to exercise. You know, I would love to eat a cheeseburger, right? But then I get a cheeseburger hangover. You know, it's not that I never eat a cheeseburger. Only when I have nothing to do, no important decisions to make, and I can go home and take a nap after when I'm done. But, you know, when I'm looking at that cheeseburger, this is what's different from before in my life. When I'm looking at that cheeseburger and I'm thinking, I want to eat that cheeseburger, what's more important to me is how that cheeseburger is going to make me feel. And do I want to feel that way? And the answer is no. Don't eat it. And I am very much not focused on the immediate gratification. I'm focused on how am I going to feel the rest of the day? How am I going to feel? Like if I went out, we should do this one time, right? Just an experiment. Like I'll go out and eat like cheeseburgers and eat French fries and drink soda, and then I'll come and try to teach satsang that night. What a disaster that would be. Yeah, I mean, who knows where I even, I'm like, I wouldn't be present. My mind. Yeah, well, you was sick with 2 shots, right?
Even if we got like tuna whole wheat subs instead of pizza when we're having our movie night.
Yeah, but pizza is nutritious. We've been
No,
a little.
It's not.
No.
Wait, tuna salad?
No, listen to me.
That
Listen
was a
to me.
big
Listen.
Sicilian awesome pizza.
No,
by
yeah,
the way.
but listen to me when I say this, because as a trainer, I'm telling you the God's honest truth, is that it's just bread and tomato sauce and cheese. Okay, so the bread, you know what I mean. That might be something that you might not. They make cauliflower pizza crust now. Cauliflower is a very interesting vegetable. There's the cheese is a little fatty, but as far as like bad food goes, pizza, you're getting nutrition for your calories. You know what I mean? I'm not saying go eat pizza every night. Okay? I'm just saying that, there's a difference between eating French fries and soda and sugary things and deep fried stuff that's fried in oil that hasn't been changed in months than just, go and have a little pizza. Okay? I'm not saying that pizza is like what I eat every night, but I enjoy it, and I notice that pizza doesn't make me feel bad. You know, particularly when it's good pizza made from good ingredients. You know?
That was good pizza.
Yeah, really good. But, you know, I mean, listen, those are once in a while things. Okay, those are not the staple of what we're going to eat. You know, one of the things that I really love to do is juice. Why? Because juicing it just makes me feel like a piece of steel. Makes me feel like I can run right through that wall. I make juice, okay? So this is something, you know, that I'm trying to get as much nutrients into my body. So when I make juice, it's apple, pear, lemon, carrot, cucumber, beet with the beet greens, kale, ginger, turmeric root, celery, and that. But you can imagine now. It doesn't taste bad, but you're not like woohoo! I get to drink this, okay? But it doesn't taste bad. Like you know, with the apple and the pear, it's sweet. You know, apples are very sugary. You know, I mean, you have to be careful with apples. There's 20 grams of sugar in an apple. Okay. Now, but when I drink that, like I'll make, you know, like a quart and a half. You know, and you know, I have like a little 2-quart mason jar, and I'll fill that one up and put that in the fridge for later. And then I have a quart mason jar, and whatever's left fills that up. Sometimes, you know, it's more than others, right? But when I drink that, my mind is sharp as a tack. With the turmeric root in it, the turmeric root is a major anti-inflammatory thing, and I put a little black pepper in it because that helps the absorption rate of the curcumin in the turmeric root, right? I can feel my sinuses open up. I've tried this with other people. My nephew, my sister, I said, drink this and watch what happens. And he said, 5 minutes later, my sinuses just opened up. One of the most, you know, they've talked about cholesterol and all of these things, and they've been beating on us about cholesterol for my whole adult life. What they're realizing now is that what is really problematic for the human body is inflammation. My doctor described it. He said, is this your artery, okay? Around your artery is a one cell wall, okay? So imagine my fingers are 2 separate cells. And these cells are very slippery and slick. And they let everything flow through the artery, okay? Right behind this one layer is a very sticky layer, okay? So if something punctures or damages the artery, whatever's flying through your artery is going to stick and clog that hole. I don't care what it is. Just clog the hole, right? So what's happening is when you're suffering with inflammation, you know, the cells are starting to swell, and there's starting to be gaps that are exposing that sticky membrane behind that one cell wall, and then you're starting to get plaque in your arteries. So inflammation, very, very important. Juicing, you know, imagine, you know, the juice that I just described to you, and imagine how much nutrients I'm putting into my body when I drink that. It's incredible. And my brain is so sharp when I do that. But the problem is, it takes a half hour to make juice and clean up. Who wants to do that?
Just make big batches.
Well, you can't. You want to drink your juice as quickly as possible. You know what I mean? Because the enzymes are alive, and you want to drink them live.
I do the bullet because I like to do the skins.
Yeah.
So I throw everything in.
Yeah. The
and then you can make a
NutriBullet.
batch for 2 days, 3 days. you know.
Yeah, be careful of that. You know what I mean? Because that's really fresh, and it will rot quickly. You know. You know, drinking your juice as quickly as possible to when you juice it, you know, you're getting live enzymes into your body. So what I will typically do is I'll make I'll have the 2 cups in the refrigerator for later, but I almost always drink it within 4 hours of when I make it. Sometimes I'll let it go till the next day, drink it the next morning. It's not about being perfect, but just be mindful of that. Okay? And the thing too about the NutriBullet, a lot of people like the NutriBullet. NutriBullet just a blender, okay? But it's good. People like it and understand why. But you're getting all the fiber, you know what I mean? And so it's not as nutrient dense. You understand what I'm saying? Like my machine takes all that fiber out, and it's just it's really nutrient dense. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying, just be clear that working with a blender and working with a juicer are 2 very different things.
I think I shared that there was a few years ago I had an infection, and they tried 3 different or 4 antibiotics on me over a 2 or 3 month period, and I said enough, because antibiotics are so bad for you, and it was like 2 months of it. So then when I started doing the bullet with the kale, the spinach, and the cilantro is known to fight infection, and then throwing in all the other stuff, the apple, the banana, the carrot, the whatever, my ginger root. When I went back for blood work, the infection was completely gone, and my cholesterol dropped 100 points.
Wow.
And she was like, she didn't believe me.
Yeah.
She's like, what have you been doing? And I told her.
Yep.
And I don't like this doctor. She'll put you on drug faster than, she's like, oh no, the antibiotics must have just kicked in, late. And, there are those doctors that don't feel that all this stuff is helping.
And you see, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like immediately your cholesterol is down. I never get sick. Here it comes, right? I very, very rarely ever get sick. And when I do, I don't need medicine. I never take medicine. And I am not poo-pooing medicine, okay? I just think that medicine is way overused. I think that medicine is like a nuclear bomb that you're dropping in your body because you've let your body get so far out of balance that now you need harsh tools to bring it back into balance. Okay? But if you're meditating, juicing, eating well, getting good rest, and this is something that I am very, very, very good at. When I'm tired, I rest. And I let my body recover. You know what happens when I don't rest? I get sick. And my body makes me rest. So I just don't have the need for medicine. One of my most powerful medicines is oil of oregano. When I start feeling those kind of, I'm getting sick signs, 6 drops of oil of oregano and 2 fingers of water, I throw it down every couple hours, knocks it right out. I just don't need medication. And again, I'm not against it, but if I don't have to take it, then why take it? So there are lots and lots of things that are so good for you, but we're just not in the habit of doing that. There's one question here from Jamie. What about a place online like Raw? They deliver them as a frozen juice. It's a little bit processed. It's frozen. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not like making a fresh juice and drinking it. A lot of times the live enzymes typically don't make it through that process, Jamie. Okay.
And those are expensive. Those ones that they make for you. to ship.
They can be expensive. Please speak in the mics, okay, so that everybody can hear.
Those are expensive. The ones you order online.
Yeah. It's if money's not an issue, that can fill a gap. It can make it easier for you. There's some interesting things that you can get, but if you get in the habit of doing these things, you will feel so good. The interesting part of this conversation is everybody's probably sitting here asking themselves, why am I not doing this? What's wrong with me? This was a question that I asked myself 25 years ago. Why is it that I can move mountains for other people, but for myself, I can't get off the couch? What is that all about? Why am I so resistant to getting up every day and making my life the best I can possibly make it? What's the answer to that question?
I think it's
Sharon?
just starting something new.
Mm.
You know, once you start, it gets easy. And you like it, and you want more. Just like a hamburger that you like.
Yeah,
You know,
right,
only
right.
it's something good, and you say, wow, this makes me feel good. And you crave more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you don't have it, you really feel different. So it becomes a habit, a good habit.
Becomes a habit, right? Which points to exactly what I was going to say. It's conditioning. You're just wired that way. You know, your brain is a computer that gets programmed a certain way. And your programming is lazy programming. And that might be just evolutionary programming that's lazy. You know, when you look around at every non-human being on the planet, what are they doing most of the day? Sitting around, right? Taking a nap. Why would they do that? Because they don't have Publix to go to and buy whatever food they want whenever they want and eat and eat and eat. They got to conserve calories. They got to conserve their energy. So when they're resting, when they're relaxing, they don't have to go kill things. They don't have to go eat things. That, and they don't have an ego. But for human beings, you know, it's just different. You know, we have lives, we have food, we have this, we have that, we have, you know, we have a mind, you know, that is rational, that can rationalize, that can reason. Tom?
It's got to be deeper than that, though. I mean, we've all done it where everything's going great, and then all of a sudden something happens. Could even be something good. Could be a vacation, and you come back and you're out of that loop, or something horrible happens, and you lose your mind for a little while, and the new stuff is the first stuff that goes.
It's inertia. You know, inertia, a body in motion tends to stay at motion. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. You know, we are very much creatures of habit. You got to get this about yourself. This is why I created those Zen lists for you. To take the thinking out of it and to say, look, here's what you need to do every day. Do it. Nobody can do it. We don't develop the habit. We don't know. We don't create the time. We're just not habituated into it. It's very, very helpful when you develop rituals. What is your morning ritual? And when I say ritual, I don't mean a religious ritual. I mean you get up every day and you do it the same way every day. You know, you start your morning the same way every morning. I get up, I make the bed, I brush my teeth, I have a glass of water, whatever it is for you. Why is that important?
Because the habit.
Microphone.
You're forming a new habit, and the new wagon rut thing in your brain, like the new.
Yes.
You're forming new pathways in your brain.
New pathways in your brain. When you're doing it over and over again, you are wiring your brain to do it that way. Why do golfers hit millions of golf balls? You know, why do batters hit millions of baseballs? You know, why did Michael Jordan say, you know, have such a strong work ethic? And they asked him why he practiced so hard. He said, because if I'm going to be out there on the floor in a championship game taking the winning shot, I want to be doing something that I've already done thousands and thousands of times. Your brain works well with ritual. And you notice when you develop your rituals and you stick with your rituals, they become easy. You don't even have to think about them. You just get up and your mind and your biology is all lined up for it, and it almost happens automatically. Then something comes and changes your rituals, right? And you're all discombobulated again.
Mike Tyson's line, right? Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face.
Right.
Well, but life punches you in the face sometimes.
Yep.
And you don't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, so, yeah, I mean.
So what's the prescription?
That was my next question.
Zen list. It's always the same. When things are going well, Zen list. When things are going bad, Zen list. The prescription is always the same. It doesn't matter what's going on for you. When you feel, when you feel bad, when you're upset, eat right, exercise, keep your house clean, drink plenty of water, meditate, pay your bills on time and early, right? And when you're upset, you will find you'll be less upset. And when you're feeling good, eat right, exercise, meditate, keep your house clean, pay your bills on time. Same thing. So you don't get distracted and give up your rituals. And this is not about like living life as like a robot or something like that. It doesn't take the joy out of life. And everything in your life doesn't have to be scripted. I'm not saying that. But your practice works way better when it's scripted. Okay? That's what the Zen list is. One side of one business card. And people struggle and struggle and struggle to do that. Struggle. This is the struggle of being human. It's not knowing what to do. It's actually doing it. You know what the difference between you and me is? Only difference. I do it. And I'm not perfect at it either. Excuse me. But I do it. I practice what I preach. Not perfectly. And as time has gone on, I've gotten better and better at it. And it's become easier and easier for me. I know the importance of rituals. If I want to get what I want to get done every day, I need to set up a process. I have processes that I've been setting up for weeks for the Peaceful Mind Center, for the setup for Satsang, for all of the emails, all of the texts, all of the ways I communicate with people. It's all ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. I do it the same way every time. You know what's happening? It's getting easier and easier and easier and easier. I was one of those people that could sit there and think about 10 minutes worth of work for 3 hours. So weird. But it's so interesting, because, who here doesn't want to be in great shape? Who here, doesn't want to have high energy and a focused mind? Who here doesn't want to have good brain chemistry and be in, a happy state just because their chemistry is balanced? We all want this. But the reason that people struggle with the Peaceful Mind Center is because you come to the Peaceful Mind Center, you got to do work. And I was like, whoa, this is work? I'm out the door. Look at what we even do for fun now. I'm going to drag you out into the middle of the woods, make you ride bikes and kayak and all. I mean, there's a method to my madness. Because I want you to experience what I'm talking about. Once you experience it, all you want is to be happy. You want to feel good. You want to be in a good mood. That's all you want. Well, your mind has convinced you that life has to be this way or that way, and that if I had this and I had that, then I would be happy. That's a mind-based happiness. And that will only last for a moment, because everything will change again. With what I'm prescribing for you, you're always peaceful, most of the time happy with however things are. Doesn't matter how things are. Doesn't matter how your life is. Doesn't matter how the people around you are. don't matter anymore. Because your happiness, your peacefulness is not predicated on them anymore. It's not predicated on your life being a certain way. It's not predicating on you having something or not having something. You are simply present in the moment. Your chemistry is balanced. And you are simply aware and in the moment. And then your natures start to come out. Your joyful, happy, giddy, kid-like nature that just wants to laugh and have fun all the time. You were like that when you were a kid. What happened? Remember how much fun you used to have doing nothing? With a couple of rocks and mud and some Matchbox cars? So talk to me. What are you hearing?
Our parents would buy us in the 70s, like things for the holidays, and we'd end up playing in the boxes. Like instead of playing with the toys, just play with the
Yeah, right? Did you ever make those big forts, out of your blankets and clothespins in the living room? We made one time when me and my brother slept in it. We woke up, it was wrecked. It was all, I don't know what happened. It got too hot in there or something, but we woke up and the whole thing was trash.
As you're talking about this, I'm trying to why would I do this to myself? I don't really have an answer to that, but it's making me realize how tough I am on myself when things don't go exactly the way I think they should. Like how hard I beat myself up because I didn't do this or I didn't do that, or because I owe Mace whatever. Yeah, all these little things, and that everything is lost because
That really points to something really, really important, and that is perfectionism. Perfectionism at first sounds like, he's a perfectionist. That's like a good thing. No, that's not a good thing, because perfectionism doesn't make you do everything perfectly, because you're never going to do that anyway. What perfectionism does is it stops you from doing things that you can't do perfectly, and you can't do anything perfectly. So perfectionism is like a paralysis. And I don't want you to hear that you need to be perfect at this. And I was like that. I really struggled with perfectionism. I needed to be perfect. I didn't want to be criticized. Now you get emails, there's typos, I just, I do proofread them 3 times, and then I send them out, and I'm like, wow, I missed it again, But just, what I'm implying. But perfectionism is something that is a real aspect of mind that we need to be aware of, because it's part of what's causal in stopping you from doing what you know and is good. And I tell you, I remember in the beginning of this, it's people when I started being a trainer, people going on a diet. Going on a diet is such a colossal thing for people. They announce it to their friends. I'm going on a diet. It's some big, and they're going to try and be perfect about the way that they eat and all. Oh, God, it's a disaster. Going on a diet is the worst thing for you. Just change your eating habits. And the funny thing is, I eat a lot of fruits and vegetables because they make me feel good. And you crave what you ate last. Once you start eating vegetables all the time, you start enjoying it. I have so many tricks for you guys. It's so I've had students say to me in the past, I just can't believe your relationship with food. Food, I can't believe how important food is to you. I'm like, do you understand that everything that you're looking at here is something that I ate at one point or another? Food doesn't go through you, although it would appear that way. It becomes you. It is you. What do you think your brain is made out of? The stuff that you eat. What do you think your bones and your muscles and your neurons and all this other stuff? If you ever watch, anybody heard of Gerson therapy? Ever hear of Charlotte Gerson? You know who that is? Or Dr. Gerson? He was someone that from Germany treated cancer, with juicing and had some really interesting, success. And she said, listen, the whole crux of what we're doing here is that, there are two things that go on that create disease. All right? One, toxicity. Okay? If there are toxins in your body, going to create disease. Okay? And two is deficiency. If you are deficient in a vitamin, if you are deficient in essential vitamin, mineral, something like that, that's going to create disease. Right? So you have to detox your body, right? And flood it with nutrients. So what do you think happens in your body when you're taking all the toxins out of it and flooding it with all the nutrients that it needs?
You're regenerating.
Yeah, wonderful things happen. And it really works well. Think about a plant. Now, you got the best fertilizer, and you're fertilizing and watering that plant with fertilizer all the time. Look at what happens to it grows like a weed. You're just a plant. Same thing. Same thing. What you eat is so important.
How did you get your students motivated as a trainer?
I educated them. The more that you understand this, the more likely you are to do it. Because we like to be ignorant, okay? The less we know, the better. But when I start telling you, that sugar is a sharp molecule, it's cutting your arteries, that your brain runs on sugar, and that the more sugar that you eat, the worse your brain is going to be, and that sugar is destroying your body. The more you know that, you're every time you eat it, I just ruined it for you, right? I'm sorry about that. But you don't want to harm yourself. You really don't. And there's something inside you, like my spirit kicks around in me. There was a time in my life that I smoked. Can you imagine me smoking a cigarette? Oh my God. And I did. It was my parents did, and they stopped and I kept going. It was starting when I got cool when I was like 16. It worked. I did look really cool, but yeah, it was with a cigarette. You should sound like James Dean, It was like the James Dean of the 80s. And but I was not eating well. I always kind of took care of myself, exercise, was athletic kid, but I smoked, I drank, I ate pizza, too much. I ate a lot of garbage. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was upset. And I couldn't understand what was going on. And then, I had a mentor come into my life, and she said, look, alcohol is a depressant. It will make you depressed. If you're struggling with depression, it doesn't make sense to drink alcohol, right? I said, wow, I didn't know that. And I didn't want to be depressed more than anything. So I just stopped drinking alcohol. I haven't had a drink of alcohol in 25 years. Best thing I ever did. I wasn't alcoholic. I didn't struggle with it. I don't Jones for it or anything like that. But fortunately for me, I put it down. I walked away. I don't need it. I felt better every day after I stopped. Why? Because alcohol is a toxin. You can put scotch in your gas tank and drive your car down the road. You're putting this in your body? Cigarettes, terrible. I would wake up in the morning and feel energy and want to go, and I'd have a cigarette, and it was like, just suck all the life right out of me. I stopped smoking cigarettes. I made some great choices in my life. I really did. Quitting smoking was the best thing I ever did in my whole life. Do you know why I quit smoking? Because I went to see my Uncle Sammy, who used to smoke Pall Malls. Unfiltered. And coffin nails. Wow, that's interesting. And he was up there. He had lung cancer and emphysema, and he was dying. We went to Pennsylvania to see him a few months before he passed away, and he saw a pack of cigarettes in my pocket, and he was frail and very sick. And he looked at me and he said, "You know, Tom," he said, "if I could give you this much of my pain in a glass to drink, you would never touch one of those again." And I walked outside. It was in the hills in Pennsylvania, and I lit a cigarette. And I'm like, I have got to be an asshole. What am I doing? You know? And 6 months later, I quit. I got myself mentally prepared to do it. And it was on my 25th birthday. I got back from a vacation, and I said, that's it. And I put the patch on that night and never smoked again. And then I started eating right. I started exercising. I was a completely different person. There was no more dysthymia. There was no more depression like that. And I was like, my God, what was I doing to myself? It was just out of ignorance. Just out of stupidity. Because nobody's got to tell you that smoking is bad for you at this point. If you don't know that, you are living under a rock, you know? And like, what was I doing to myself and why? I was unconscious. I was, you know, coming out of a difficult childhood. I was completely lost. I was completely ignorant. I had no idea how to take care of myself. No one ever taught me. It was, we never taught this stuff in school. I was never taught this stuff, you know. I just didn't understand. I didn't make the correlations. When I started to make the correlations and I started to understand, because I was suffering and I did not want to suffer. That's what motivated me on this path. And then I started to realize what the causes of my suffering were. And I just started weeding my garden. I just started getting rid of them. And then I started to realize what really are the causes for peaceful mind and joyful life, which is all I wanted. And I started to focus on them. And life is really fun for me. I really enjoy life. I'm not happy all the time, but I'm happy most of the time. And I feel good. And I have an inner state that is unaffected by the garbage that goes on around me. But I've learned how to do that, and I've practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And everything that I'm feeding you here every week in Satsang are all the things that I've experienced and all the things that I've done that really worked for me. And you take it and you make it your own. I see all of you looking at me. I always know when I've got you. Because right now in your mind, what's probably happening is you're realizing all the things that you know that you're doing that you shouldn't be doing. And you're realizing that there are things that you could be doing that you're not doing. And you're probably asking yourself, why is this so hard for me? Because you're human. Because your mind is wired for other habits. And you have not developed these habits. You've not worked that muscle. It's like working a muscle. You know what I mean? You want that muscle to get bigger and stronger. You have to work it and work it and work it. You know, you got to work those mental muscles so that they get strong. You got to train yourself to be the person and behave the way that you want to behave. To take care of yourself the way that you want to take care of yourself. You got to train yourself to do that. That's why I created the Zen card, so that you would have a framework. This is what you got to do every day. I have students that started that Zen card, and after a while they said to me, you know, I don't even think about that much anymore. I usually have, 99% of that done by 9 o'clock in the morning. Because once you're committed to doing it, it gets done. It's not hard. It's just that you're not wired that way. You've got to train yourself into how you want to live life. It's got to be repetitive learning over and over again, because that reinforces all the wiring. You know? You notice that when you start working out, at first it's hard, and then after a week or 2 or 3, you're just rolling with it. Don't even think about it. It's easy to get up and do it. Never easy. Some days it's so easy for me. Some days, you know what another thing that makes it not easy is sometimes time. You know? And it's so unfortunate that we don't have the time to really take care of ourselves the way that we want to. You've got to create the time. And where you don't have the time, you've got to condense your practice. You've got to have like a minimum practice that that you can do no matter what. You know? Like no matter what, 8 minutes of cardio, 2 minutes of meditation. You know what I mean? Anybody can do that. There's no day of the week that you can't do that. Why is that important? Because you're reinforcing your mind that this is what we do every day. You know, when you start taking days off, you start going in the other direction. You know? Isn't it crazy how we just struggle to take care of ourselves? You would think that would be the easiest thing a human being could do.
It's the most important thing we could do.
It is the most important thing. It really is. Why is it the most important thing?
Because you'll collapse physically and mentally if you don't.
And is collapsing physically and mentally fun? Not at all. You know, because, listen, I always say this. I don't know where we've come from, okay? We all just woke up here one day. And I don't know where we're going to after this. But I know that we're here. And if we're going to be here, then let's not suffer here. That's all I'm saying. So what are the causes of suffering? And let's not do them. And what are the causes of peacefulness and joyfulness? And let's focus all of our attention on that. And what do you think happens? You become more happy, more peaceful, more joyful. You're enjoying your life. You're having fun. You're enjoying your life. It seems so silly that we don't enjoy life. There's pizza. What more could you want?
You have to like pizza.
If you don't like pizza, I just don't know what to say to you, you know? Yeah. So talk to me. What are you hearing? You feel like a jackass?
I'm actually trying not to
Not to what?
feel like a jackass. I'm actually looking, and a lot of stuff changed around in what I was doing, and like the newer things went flying out the window. But like I can't do anything about that, and my old way would be to like sit here and berate myself and tell me what a failure was. But I'm not doing it. I'm just changing a couple things that I can change, and I'm going to go back to doing it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And because that's all I got.
Exactly. Just start from where you are.
Yeah.
You know, but it is like, I don't want you to berate yourself. You know what I mean? That's not what I mean. And that's why I brought that up. It's like, don't feel like a jackass. But just notice how odd your behavior is, you know? Just notice that. For me, I can tell you, I have a very mechanical mind. It's very, very important. Like, if you want to accomplish vibrant physical health and a peaceful mind, you have to have a process for that. You don't want to just shoot from the hip, okay? You have to stop and think, okay, like you really got to think this out. If I want to eat well, what does that mean on a daily basis? Like, how do I accomplish that? All right. Well, the first thing that you need is supplies. So where do I get my supplies from? Me? I get most of mine from BJ's. I get some from Amazon that get shipped right to my house. And Maria's Market and Whole Foods. Okay? Those are like the 4 places that I shop. I know those places. I can walk into those places blindfolded and find what I need to find. Very, very simple. And even Whole Foods will deliver now. Okay? So you have to have a supply chain. I'm talking about a supply chain. If you need to get food into you, it needs to be coming from somewhere, and you need to know where that is. So who is going to be your food supplier? I love BJ's. BJ's has a lot of organic products. They have a much wider variety than any of the other big box warehouses. It's most of what I can get at a supermarket. I can get there. I can get in bulk. I can get 5 dozen eggs for $6 there. 5 dozen eggs. I hard boil some. I cook with some. I use some to batter, to bread things. Bread chicken and bake, baked breaded chicken. Whole heads of cauliflower, and I roast it in the oven, like really good. It's really easy and fun to cook when you have all the ingredients at home. So if you're going to eat well, I need to get food into me. I need to know where that food is coming from. I need to know how to prepare it, and you start to develop habits. Mostly what I eat for breakfast is either eggs or steel-cut oats. That's almost exclusively what I eat for breakfast, and mostly steel-cut oats. If I want more protein because I'm training more, I'll have some egg whites with that. Sometimes I'll have eggs just to have something different, Then what are the things that I eat for lunch? You see what I'm saying? You see how conscious I am of how I eat and what I eat? Where I get the food from? Like I'm bringing consciousness to it. I'm bringing conscious awareness to how I'm feeding my body. And it will take time. You know what I mean? Like it will take time for you to develop your own process that works for you. I know what works for me. And I've been working on my processes for a very long time. But I know exactly what works for me. One of my favorite things recently is I go to BJ's and I get the big thing of red grapes, seedless grapes, right? I take them home and I wash them good in some white vinegar and water. And then I pluck them all and I freeze them in the freezer. And they are so good. What a treat, So at the end of the day, if I'm, wanting to nibble on something, I've got these frozen grapes, that are good for me, that I'm enjoying, that taste good, little sweet treat at the end of the day. And, they don't freeze hard like marbles. They're frozen, but you can bite them. They're really, really good. Well, for forever, but I just munch them down. So I'm getting all this, good stuff. The clementines are good this time of year. I'm having clementines. I'm always eating bananas. When the bananas start to get a little bit old, I peel them and I freeze them and then I put them into smoothies. Like I have a whole process for the way that I feed myself and the way that I eat. I know exactly how I make my juices. I can do all this stuff blindfolded. Eating is very important to me. Why? Because having a fun life is very important to me. And eating is central to that. It's work, but it's fun work. And what makes it fun is that you start feeling really good. That's all you want to feel. We have a few minutes before we meditate. Anybody want to interject? Any new people want to interject? What is your name?
Sure, I'll say something.
See that? Microphone, please.
I'm Patty.
Hi, Patty. I'm Tom.
Hello. Thank you. Hi. I'm having a big birthday in a few weeks.
Oh.
So I have very recently been thinking a lot about my life and what I have accomplished, what I haven't accomplished, the awarenesses that I have today that I'm so grateful for. One being that I can actually control a lot of things in my life. I never even realized I could do that. I never realized I could control the people that I surrounded myself with. It just, whatever came at me, I dealt with it.
Yeah.
I was always reactive to everything. And I don't know how much life I have left, but I'm realizing I can be proactive with my diet, my exercise, my friendships, how I choose to spend my time. All those things that I beat myself up about because I didn't realize how important they were to my well-being. I wasn't taught that. And how my thoughts create how I feel about my world, about myself, about everything I do. So I'm just grateful that at this point in my life,
Let me stop you there before I lose a couple of things.
okay,
Okay? Very, very good. So much of what we do here is about conscious awareness. You know, we go through life sort of robotically, and we never even question, why am I even doing this? It's probably because all the people before you did it that way, and it just got programmed into you. That's the conditioned mind that we're speaking of. So as you're becoming more conscious, you're saying, wait a minute, you know, you're having all these realizations. So awareness is such a big, big part of the practice, to just be aware,
exactly.
you know? And there was something else that you said right at the end. I have a good memory, just very, very short. Thoughts, thank you. That you said, you know, my thoughts, right? My thoughts make, you know, how I feel about life or something like that. Do you realize that when you say my thoughts, that in your own language, you're realizing that there is a my and a thought, a me and a thought, and they're not the same thing?
I got that.
That is an awesome thing to get. Because when you begin to realize that, you know, consciously realize that thoughts are observed and that you are the one that is observing them, your relationship to your thoughts changes completely.
Well, then you have some control
Of
how you want to feel and what thoughts make you feel good
I would,
or make you feel
I
bad.
would very much steer you away from that word control. Okay? Because most things you have no control. You have so little control that is ridiculous. Okay? Most of life is unfolding and happening karmically, outside you and even inside you. Okay? You really don't, even the thoughts that come into your mind, you don't even control what thoughts come into your mind. But what you do control, and what is central to our practice here, is your attention. And what gets your attention in your mind, that has power. But what you take your attention away from in your mind withers and dies. So the only thing, this is very, very important, that you really control is your attention and what you're giving your attention to. If you're giving your attention to your self-care, to your diet, to taking care of yourself every day, that part of your life is going to flourish. You know? Your attention is central to teaching here, absolutely central. And the attention is the most powerful tool that you have. Without your attention, nothing can bother you. Nothing. You know? What happens, happens though. You know what I mean? Be careful. The ego is the part of the mind that wants to control. I want to control everything. The self is in boundless equanimity, just allowing things to be as they are without any judgment of things. You know?
You mean not believing in it? It's the belief in it.
You're not believing in what? Would you talking to the mic, please?
I kind of got you were saying that if you you believe in the thought, that's when the problem arises.
When you first, belief is like a whole deeper layer of bringing attention to something. When you believe something, it's real for you, you know? And it might not be real in the world, but if you believe it, it's real for you. Like most of us, many of us at one time or another have had such negative core beliefs. like I'm a piece of garbage, you know? That's certainly not true. But if you believe it, it's true for you. And it's real in your world. Belief is something that I don't have any interest in. Belief is like giving my mind a blank check just so that it can go purchase any thought that it wants and believe it into reality. The most poignant example of that is Santa Claus. When I was a kid, I believed in Santa Claus, just like you sitting here in front of me. And we all know the ridiculous story of Santa Claus, and that the likelihood of that being true was very, very slim. Yeah, I mean, there was a big ruse going on, you know what I mean, that other people were in on, but nonetheless, you know what I mean? If my mind can believe that, my mind can believe anything, okay? Believing is not something that I am very interested in. I don't mean religious beliefs, and I don't like to tread on anybody's, religion, okay? But just be aware of what belief is, you know? What is much more useful is causality. You don't need belief. You want to believe something, go believe it, okay? It's real for you. But what is much more useful and much more interesting is causality. If I want to have a peaceful mind and a happy life, what's causal in that? What do I need belief for in any of that? I don't. Belief is not useful in that. But if you're looking at what is, what are the causes and conditions that would create peaceful, joyful life, now you're doing something important. Now you're doing something very tangible. I try to tread lightly when I talk about belief and my disdain for belief, because it messes with people a little bit, and I don't mean to mess with you. But when you really look at what belief is, it's very problematic, especially for a spiritual teacher, because a lot of times, like, you can be abusive, belief and believe this and believe. In fact, I say that when you come here, I tell you, don't believe anything I say. Don't believe anything when you come to the Peaceful Mind Center, because all I want you to do is come here and hold up what I'm saying to what you're experiencing and see if it helps make it more clear what you're experiencing. But don't ever believe a word that I say, ever. It's something that here's why it's problematic. Now, I'm not telling you this, okay? I'll be very, very clear that I'm not saying this is true. Got it? Everybody got it? Okay. If I was up here saying, when I go into deep meditations, I can see past lives. I can see when I was a squirrel. I can see when I was a whale. I can see when I was a bird, right? And you'd all sit and go, wow, you're so enlightened, right? But it's an unfalsifiable statement. What an unfalsifiable statement means is that you can't make it false. You either have to believe it or not believe it. And I don't ever want to put you in that position. And that's how horseshit is born. It's just not valuable. It's not useful. You can believe whatever anything you want. The moon is made of cheese. If you believe it, it's real for you. But is it real in reality? The definition of enlightenment is seeing things clearly as they are. When you imbue it with belief, you can't see it clearly as it is. It's a problem on this path. But that's a satsang for another time. I usually come armed to that satsang. Is that troubling to you, Scott, or? No. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't leave you in a weird place.
No.
Because sometimes that weirds people out.
Yeah, I was just trying to relate it to what we were talking about earlier with, making a positive change. Like how you would start eating healthier, start exercising. you know, and kind of relating to what you said, that it's kind of, it feels like it started from not being nice to myself, you know, and in order to start that change, I would have to like talk to myself and be nice to myself, and it has to do with, you know, a positive thought or negative thought. And the reason I'm not able to do it is because I'm believing in a negative thought that's not necessarily true.
Yes. And so you can see the problem with belief there, right? Yeah. You know, what you're really learning is you're learning to love yourself. You're learning to take care of yourself. You know, you're learning to put yourself first in your own life. How many times have people told you that that's like a bad thing to do? You know? It's not a bad thing to do. Be selfish. Not self-centered, but take care of you. If you take care of you, then nobody's got to take care of you. If everybody in the world took care of themselves, there wouldn't be anybody to take care of. The best thing that you can do for the world is take care of yourself. Take care of your 9 square feet that you're in, and just make sure that your part of the world is a really beautiful place to be. And you will find that that takes a lot of work. But it's work that is so well worth it. If you want the world to become more conscious, then be conscious, become more conscious yourself. Why? Because you are part of the world. You are not the world. You are part of the world. If you become more conscious, the world becomes more conscious because you are part of it. The best thing you can do for the people that you love, the people in your life, yourself, the world, everybody, is take really, really good, pristine care of yourself. Take good care of your mind. Because then you're not out there making trouble. And not only that, you're helping people that haven't gotten to this part of the path yet. Now you can be a beacon of light for them. You know, you can be someone that can show them the way out from their suffering. That's really fun. It really is. You know, when you start helping other people, you will just know why you're here. Just something about us that we just love so much. We hate to see people suffering. Breaks our heart. And you know, and it's really fun for us to see people happy and smiling and joking and laughing, and makes us feel good. Imagine in your mind right now pictures of people smiling and laughing and being happy, and notice how it makes you feel. Imagine people not for too long of suffering, and how does it make you feel? You know, your own inner self is your own compass. It's pointing the way. It's always pointing the way. This way feels good, this way doesn't. Which way are you going to go? We always go this way. I don't know why. Toward the pizza. Listen. We have someone in this room who makes homemade pizza. We will just look at and whistle. So there probably will be pizza at next movie night. Homemade pizza. Bring a sub? Pizza sub? Yeah. Gotta be the rebel.
You know, you talk about taking care of yourself. I mean, isn't that what our body does? Like the first oxygen that comes into your lungs goes right to your heart, right directly. That's the first thing that gets fed, because without the heart, nothing else gets fed. Right? So, I mean, we're kind of built like that, to take care of ourselves first.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's nothing works if you don't take care of yourself first, you know? You know what, too? It's really fun when you stop worrying about what everybody else is doing and you just start focusing your life on you. I have on my phone, how do I see this with? Oh, but I don't know if you can see it, but this is the face of a lion, and underneath it says, "Stay focused on what matters." And I always want to remind myself of that every time I look at this, because we get so distracted by a bunch of garbage that doesn't matter. You know what matters? Your Zen list. Creating the causes and conditions every day for your mind to be peaceful, for your body to be healthy. That's what matters. That's what's going to give you the life that you want, the life that you desire. That's what's going to help you be in peace most of the time. Happiness and joyfulness most of the time. Even when you're sad, you'll even have peace with your sadness. So we have lots of wonderful distractions in this human world and lots of things that we think are important. But I figured out what's important, and I focus on that every day. It's not making money. That's not important. You need some money, but if you live within your means and stay focused on, what's important, taking care of your mind, you have a really fun life. Simple, fun life. And that doesn't mean that money is evil. That just means don't not take care of yourself and wait a minute. I need a back. Don't take care of yourself and don't sacrifice your taking care of yourself for money or for other people's garbage or whatever. You come first. You take care of you first. Most people here know, for me, 7 to 10 a.m., that's my time to take care of me. 7 to 10 a.m. I don't give that up for anything. Once in a while, if a student need help with something or, you know what I mean, I can be flexible. But I get up first 3 hours of the day for me. To do what? To dust and clean and fine-tune and polish the chrome on my brain. I get up, I clean a room, make the bed, go work out, have a healthy breakfast, meditate. And then the rest of the day is fun. Here I am, almost 9 o'clock, and I'm just, somehow I've found a way to just screw around and call it a career. And I love my life. And you know what? The last thing that I'll say, we'll get to our meditation, is I was always this guy. I always knew what I wanted. And if I could go back and talk to little me, all I would say to him is, you know what you want, just do it. Don't listen to anybody else. What you enjoy, and the things that you want to learn about and the things that you want to, that you're interested in, it's the same thing today as it was when I was 14 years old. Same stuff. Same things. Science. I've got a shop. I got, my soldering irons and making electronic stuff and doing all kinds of stuff and building things and creating things. I was doing that since I was this big. And I started listening to other people, and I started to get pulled away from what I knew that I loved. I just came right back. Does anybody want to stand up and stretch or use the facilities before we meditate? Which one is that? Okay. Okay, come. That's okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, yeah. And I'm glad. Okay. Just put it on the chair. Okay. Thank you. All right, so sit comfortably. Make sure that you're in a very comfortable position, okay? There's something called 7-point position, which I don't have time to describe right now. But you really want your back to be straight. You want the energy to flow through your body more easily. And you want to be in a very alert position. Meditation is not taking a ride. Meditation is being 150% here with me right now, okay? So if you notice in your meditation that your mind, your attention is wandering away, it's okay. Just bring it back, okay? Get an image of pizza in your mind. I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Take a few moments to relax yourself in your own way. And as you're relaxing yourself, I encourage you to breathe more and more slowly until you're breathing as slowly as possible without it being at all uncomfortable. Bring your attention to your mind. And for a few moments, just observe the natural play of the mind without any judgment. Just notice what thoughts arise. Notice them come and go. And just watch. Now begin to realize that this whole time you are the one that has been watching the mind. That you are the one that has been aware of what has been happening in the mind and observing it. Don't look for yourself, because you are the self. It is what you are. And in the same way that the eyes can see everything, but not see themselves, the self is aware of everything, but cannot observe itself. You can just be it. You can just look out from it. Saint Francis of Assisi said the place you are looking for is the place you are looking from. So sit as the awareness and realize that you are the awareness that is aware of what is happening in the mind. And that as the awareness, you are guiding the attention to the mind. And that's how you become aware of what's in there. There is something in the mind that you might not be aware of that I want to point you to. You may notice that there are moments of silence. You may notice that there are moments of nothing happening in the mind. See if you can see the vast space of silence that the thoughts are arising in. And become very interested in the silence and very uninterested in all the other distractions. And rest with your attention resting peacefully in the silence in your mind. And if your attention gets distracted by a thought, just let it go and come back to silence. And practice this until you hear the bell. I love you all very much. And it's always an honor to share this time and space with you. Free hugs at the end of Satsang to anyone who wants. And take your time. We'll be back here again next week.